Hey, don't mind the hat. I just didn't feel like doing my hair today. So Google Drawings is actually really easy to make digital sorts. Unfortunately, it's not one of the apps that's over here under the Google apps. So you just have to Google drawings in the search and it comes right up. You just click on the top one. And it's going to open like this drawing app, which is where I do all the digital sorts, because you can then make text boxes where they can drag and drop them into the columns that you need. So I'm just going to do a generic one. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to decide how you want your sort to be. So I'm just going to do a generic one that could be used for any grade level. So I'm just going to do one for parts of speech. So I'm just going to label my drawing parts of speech. And then you're going to insert a table. So I'm going to do nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So I need 3 columns. So I'm going to do 3 columns across and I need 2 rows. So I'm going to insert the table and I'm going to make my lines pretty dark because I want the lines to stand out. So I'm going to change them to 4-point thickness and I'm going to make sure the color is black so that they stand out. So there's my table. Unfortunately, that's not big enough to do anything with, so you have to resize the table. So I'm just going to click on the table, and all I'm going to do is drag the top up. And I'm going to sit here, and this kind of takes a minute because you do have to kind of play around with it. You have to play around with like the size and how big you want the table to be and things like that. So that does take a few minutes, but it's nothing major. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this with what they are. And I put everything in the middle and like in the center of the box. And I always type it in bold. And then I'm going to make it big enough that the kids can see, and you can change the font or do whatever you want. So I'm going to make this nouns. I'm going to make this one same thing. We're going to do center and center, make it bold. I'm going to do this one, verbs. And then this one is going to be adjectives. And yes, you can obviously copy and paste. I'm going to make that one adjectives. I just don't feel like typing the rest of it. And then you're going to create what you're going to use for each of them. So I'm going to make a text box. So I'm going to click in my text box and I'm going to make this text box here for where my word is going to be. I'm going to make this one so I can see it and move it around. I'm going to make it 2-point and then black, make sure it's on black. And then again, I like to put my word in the center of the box. So I click in there. So I'm going to put my word noun. I'm going to put man. And then I'm going to make it so that it's filled into the box pretty much the way that I want it to be. And then all I have to do now is I'm going to decide how many words do I want in each column, because now all I have to do is I'm going to copy this text box and then I can just paste it as many times as I want and drag those text boxes over to the columns. And the reason that I start with them in the columns is because that way I know that they're going to fit. So I'm just going to drag this over. So let's say I want 3 in each column. So I'm going to do 3 in the adjectives. I'm going to do 3 in the verbs. And I'm going to do 3 in the nouns. Now all I have to do, now they're all set. So now all I have to do is go in and just erase my words and type them in. Let's do chair and park. And then for verbs, we'll do run, walk, I could type, and skip. And then for adjectives, we'll do fuzzy, soft, and 8. Now, you could be done with this and just move all of your text boxes over to the side of all the pages and be done with it. However, I find it easier to color code things because then I can do quick checks of things. So for example, I might choose to do all of these in like, I'm gonna fill them using the fill bucket. Maybe I do all the nouns in primary colors. And then maybe I do all the verbs in secondary colors. And then maybe I do all the adjectives in like the weird colors, like gray and maybe a brown. And let's see, how about a lighter gray? I don't know. You make it whatever, but you can color code these. So then when you move them over to the side, so that the kids have to put them places, all they see is a bunch of colors. They're not going to understand that you color coded them. You're only going to know that you color coded them. And I'm going to show you why you color coded them in just a minute when I load the assignment into my Google Classroom. So watch what happens when I load it into my Google Classroom. So now you just move them over to the side and now they can move they are going to be the ones that drag and drop into here. So again, I'm just going to close out of this. I'm going to go into my Google Classroom, into my classwork. I'm going to create the assignment and it'll be right there for you. Parts of speech, sort, and then you just go into your Google Drive and you're just going to grab the sort from right there. Parts of speech, and then make sure that you make a copy for each student. Otherwise, the first student is going to go in and move it around, and then every student's going to see his answer. So make sure that you make a copy for each student. Now, let me show you the trick. The reason that I color code things is because when I come in here into, let's do my Charlotte's Web, where did I put it? Here it is, my fact and opinion sort that I did. When I go in here and I view the assignment to see the kids that turned it in, I can now see the colors. So you can see right here that I did the primary colors in gray and then the secondary colors in brown. So I don't even have to go into this person's to see that he got it correct. Same thing with all the ones that turned them in. I can just do a quick, that I've already graded these, but I can just do a quick visual check. Oh, yep, those colors are all in the right place. I don't even have to check this. It's completed. It's 100%. Over here, I can already see by the colors that that's not right. Same thing with over here. I can see by the colors that this isn't lined up right. So I already know as a quick check when I go into grade.